Story 1. I used to be called Native American because I had long black hair. I was told to get back in my canoe. Wish I had a canoe. Story 2. My husband got made fun of because he takes care of his kids. Bunch of older guys making fun because my husband changed diapers. On my girlfriend's side of the family, it's the woman's responsibility to take care of all the children, from cooking, cleaning, to bathing and changing. Baby cries at night? It's the mother who takes care of it, even though most of the women actually work more than the men. My girlfriend's brother is the absolute worst, does nothing. Meanwhile, I help out whenever and wherever I can. My motto is whatever I do is one less thing my girlfriend has to do. Story 3. In college, I wrote a paper about how my parents met and got married. They met in a bar, eloped 6 months later. A super religious lady in my class got offended and complained to the teacher that I was promoting non-Christian values and sinning. I defended myself by saying I was promoting love. That's all. And it comes in different shapes and sizes, time frames, etc. The teacher stood up for me and told her college might not be her thing if she gets so easily offended. My parents will celebrate their 42nd wedding anniversary in less than 2 weeks. Story 4. In high school, I did a presentation about the bubonic plague. At the end, I mentioned it has not been totally eradicated, and there are still occasional cases in the US. This was followed by laughter from everyone, including my teacher. But it really still exists and has not been eradicated. Same thing happened to me when a kid gave a presentation on different types of energy sources. I asked if they looked up anything about nuclear power plants because I was genuinely curious about those. I never really hear much about them. The kid gave me a weird look and said those don't exist anymore, and the teacher and the kid both smirked like I was stupid. But nuclear power plants definitely still do exist and are in operation all over the world. Story 5. I was once told by my drunk brother that I wasn't tough enough because I had never been to jail. I told him I was never dumb enough to go to jail. He was arrogant when he drank. Rest in peace. Story 6. I was just thinking about this the other day when I was making my kid lunch. Back when I was little, my mom would cut my sandwiches in half, and some kids made fun of me for it. They said I was poor, and the reason my mom cut my sandwich in half was so I could take half home for dinner. It doesn't even make sense. But kids are effing stupid and will make fun of each other for anything. Story 7. My gym clothes in middle school. We all literally had the same exact shorts and shirts, women included. It was just green basketball shorts and a gray shirt. And one of my fellow students called me out one day because the writing on the shirt was faded. School name was plastered on there. Except the logo was peeling off across my chest and tummy because I was bigger. And those areas would get brushed on stuff or sweat or stretch, whatever, and the logo would come off. I was also made fun of for running to gym class. 1, for how I ran, and 2, for rushing to get into my locker before the room flooded with girls. I was in a gym class with some other students with disabilities, and my locker was up near theirs for reasons. And I'd get made fun of for that too. Or changing my socks into the crew style or gym socks. Why did any of that shit matter to anyone? Story 8. When I first met my husband, he refused to wear a helmet snowboarding because growing up, you'd get made fun of for wearing one. I told him how important it was to me for him to wear one, but he was hesitant. While watching a Wayne Gretzky documentary, we learned because of his dad, Wayne wore a helmet when not only was it not a requirement in pro, but you'd get absolutely roasted for it. I mean, if the greatest hockey player of all time can do it. Anyways, thank you Wayne Gretzky for convincing my husband it's okay to wear a helmet, even if it's not cool. Story 9. When I was in 9th grade, one of the kids who ran around with a known group of troublemakers saw me doodling in class, and decided to pick on me after as I passed them in the hall. Them, were you drawing in your notebook? Me, yeah. Them, what were you drawing? Me, just random stuff. I opened my notebooks and showed them. I don't remember what it was, just little creatures in the margins. Them, that's stupid. That is so stupid. Me, LOL, okay? Them. Drawing is f***ing stupid. It's a waste of time. That's all you're good at anyway. People like you are useless. Me. Alright then. Guess who came to me a few months later begging me to do their art class assignment for them? I declined on the grounds of being too stupid to do it. They tried to offer me $10. I said, sorry, I'm too busy. Story 10. In high school once, I asked for 5 fish fingers for lunch, and these bitchy girls in the queue behind me started making fun of me. Did you hear how many fish fingers she asked for? And as the dinner lady put them on my plate, they counted them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After lunch, when I walked into class, they started gossiping about me. You should have seen how many fish fingers she ate at lunch. Just found it really weird, to be honest. I don't think 5 fish fingers is that excessive for a 14-year-old. Story 11. In elementary school, I ate a hot dog, which was provided with that day's school lunch. A popular girl noticed me eating it and made fun of me for the rest of the school year, saying I was a freak for liking hot dogs and that I had hot dog breath. She would not let up, and all the other kids laughed along with her. It didn't faze me one bit because I was aware of just how stupid and odd of a thing it was to make fun of a person for eating a hot dog. Story 12. I drank a straight martini one night while I was out to dinner with some friends. And this guy with us kept busting my balls all night, calling me a pussy and not a man, and that martinis are girl drinks. Like, bro, it's a drink. It's not that deep. Just wanted to try something new, and plenty of men drink straight martinis. Story 13. Walking with my mom or sisters under my arms. I've been taller than them for a long while, and anytime we're out, one of them is usually under my arm as we walk. Some dude from my high school pointed it out once and tried making a joke, but I just looked at him confused, which got him to knock it off. Story 14. I got made fun of for having tits in the 3rd grade. I'm a dude. Turns out I have a big upper body, and my tits are now sexy pecs. People ask me if I work out now. I can still hear them chanting, blank got titties, blank got titties. Scarred me for life. And I've never told this story before. Story 15. Middle school. Got made fun of for having bubbles in my spit. Like, spit on the ground and there were bubbles. Got mocked. I was so confused, and still am to this day, how anyone could come up with that. Story 16. Knowing how to cook. Sorry I took the time to learn a useful and enjoyable skill, dude. Enjoy your TV dinners and ramen every night for the rest of your life. Story 17. For being smart. Anti-intellectualism is huge in the US, and being a complete idiot who knows nothing about anything is considered fashionable and cool. I remember we had a couple of Japanese exchange students in high school who were dumbfounded by this, because it's the exact opposite in their culture. Story 18. I was picked on a lot for playing Dungeons & Dragons. Granted, it was the mid-1980s, but still, I was picked on for playing a game that promoted math, reading, problem-solving, and teamwork. How horrible. The worst came from my church's clergy and CCD teachers, and then other students who wanted to impress them. When I got older, I mentioned how bad they thought a game that to win you had to make all your friends broke and homeless was. They said it was evil and would never support it. I then pointed to Monopoly on the shelf next to them. Of course, that's different though. Story 19. For telling them to follow the instructions on their antibiotics. Them. Doesn't matter when I take them as long as I take them. Durr. Okay. She ended up in hospital on IV antibiotics for near sepsis 3 days later. She knew I was formerly a nurse, but some people refused to agree just because I was a nurse? Story 20. I was bullied by some kid in 4th grade for storing my Pokemon cards in top-loader plastic cases to protect them. Everyone else, for the most part, carried them in loose stacks. Story 21. My weight, small boobs, and my nose. I've had girls tell me that guys don't want to date a stick figure. Joke's on them because I'm married for 12 years now with kids. I've been told I don't look like a real woman because my boobs are small. And I don't have one of those cute little button noses. I have a prominent nose, and some people find it ugly, I guess. I also get a lot of compliments about those three things, so it's easier to combat the low self-esteem that tries to creep up when someone makes fun of those things. But those are things I can't control without surgery. The weight, I really can't control. I've tried to gain weight, and I can't get above 95 pounds unless I'm pregnant. And as a consequence, my boobs are going to be small. I don't have enough fat to make boobs. And this is the nose I was given at birth. Not like I went to the nose store and chose this one. But I don't hate it. I think I'm a pretty enough lady. Story 22. My ex once said I even showered methodically. When I asked what this meant, they said I always do it the same way. I'm not really sure to this day what the issue was. Kind of seems normal for people to have a routine for stuff like that. Kicker was, though, I never did it the same way anyway. So they just got attacked for showering because it's all they could think of. Story 23. I worked construction the first few summers in college. The dudes on that crew occasionally made fun of me for wanting to get an education. One of them was dumb as a box of rocks. That was over 20 years ago. I make more money now as an engineer than they'll ever see. Not that money is everything, but if I choose happy plus money, or happy plus no money, I choose the former. Also, there were some genuinely nice guys on that crew who were really good at their jobs. I'm not trying to stereotype blue-collar workers. Story 24. My disability. Bro, why are you mad that I walk funny? This one guy would literally knock me off my feet when he saw me. He f***ing hated me despite us never having one conversation. I got bullied over a damn limp. Story 25. For wearing the same clothes and hand-me-downs often in school. My family was poor when I was growing up, so we didn't have the luxury to splurge on new clothes. Just because I wore the same clothes often doesn't mean they weren't clean. Story 26. You're a political science major and you don't know how to vote? Y'all, I know how to vote. I'm not sure why he thought I didn't. I frequently get made fun of for being gay. But, while that's a stupid thing to mock someone over, this post seemed more focused on the absurd, rather than just stupid. Story 27. Back in high school, I was in the marching band for a year. This required going to a boot camp for about 2 weeks before the semester started. We would have lunch served every day, made by parents who volunteered. On the last day, they had Caesar salad. However, the lettuce wasn't really cut up, so I decided to cut it up myself. And I shit you not, everyone in line stopped and looked at me, and they were absolutely gobsmacked. They were taking their phones out and posting it on their story. Some were pointing at me, and one girl even said, "You cut your salad? I've never seen anyone do that before. That's so weird." And here I am sitting at my table, super confused. Cutting up your salad before you eat it is weird? I mean, let me know what you guys think, but that was far from the weirdest thing I've witnessed at a marching band summer camp. Believe me. They would proceed to make fun of me for the rest of the season. I really don't get it. Folks, enlighten me. Story 28. I am an obsessive perfectionist in my work. It's not out of arrogance, but self-torment. A little mistake, or the tiniest blemish will absolutely ruin me for days, weeks, or even years. Some of my former colleagues knew this and would poke harmlessly. Some, though, were flat-out antagonistic about it. They would purposely damage or add flaws and then tell me I caused it. I did not. Some would become overly judgmental and critical of aspects that they had no business being critical of, like a disgusting slob pointing at you and saying you have the tiniest crumb in your beard, or the guy that hasn't washed his car in 5 years saying, "You missed a spot," when you spend 40 hours making your own car look showroom perfect. Story 29. I was the youngest sibling in my family, and my 2 older siblings criticized damn near everything I did growing up. I remember one time they spent all of dinner making fun of me because I was eating too slowly, so I guess I was adequately chewing my food, and that didn't fly with them that day. Kids are dumb. Having 2 assholes criticize my every move made me a very shy child. Story 30. My classmates laughed at me because the substitute teacher said he's allergic to a tree called in my language, topola, cottonwood if Google is correct, and my name is part of the name of the tree. It was maybe 5th or 6th grade, and later used this joke myself when making crossword. But still, a really fucking dumb reason to laugh at somebody. Story 31. In college, choosing to live in a more academic dorm. A lot of kids in the party dorm made fun of people in my dorm for that. Of course, half the people in that dorm don't even complete freshman year. Oh man, I guess I'm a weirdo for thinking there's a point to college other than house parties. Worth noting too that half the people in the academic dorm were still complete morons. Story 32. Short background info. Where I live, you go to primary school from grades 1 to 6. Where you'll go to secondary school depends on the grades you had in years 5 and 6. So teachers are able to adjust their classes to the learning speed of the different levels. I was always top of my class in primary school, and I think a few other kids were a bit jealous that I never really had to study to get good grades. When I was in 8th grade, I ran into one of my old classmates from primary school. The first thing she said to me was, "Hi, do you know what kind of animal a jellyfish is?" She clearly had just heard about that in her biology class. Since I went to a different school, we had a different schedule, and didn't cover that topic at the time. So to my best knowledge, I answered, not sure. Mollusk? She responded with, "Haha, no, coelenterate. See, I'm smarter than you anyway." Story 33. My stepfather sometimes makes fun of me for all the stupid reasons. Last holiday, he laughed at us, me and my mother, that we have a fear of heights. Sometimes, for things that even he himself doesn't know, that's what makes it funny by itself. Story 34. Wearing glasses and having last year's shoes. In 7th grade, LA Gear were all the rage, but we couldn't afford them. Until 8th grade, when they came down in price. I proudly wore them to school, but was immediately informed that Nike or Reebok were the shoes to have now. Story 35. It was in school. Kids are cruel. The fact that I lived with my grandma because my parents left, and they all made fun of me for years because nobody wanted me. And then a couple years later, I had eczema really bad, and I was tormented for it for years, to the point that I would wear a sweater and pants regardless of how hot it was. And sweat made it worse. But I wasn't interested in people seeing my skin. Still to this day, I have eczema. But now I'm an adult. People don't say shit about it. Story 36. In middle school, I got into an argument with a girl about something very stupid. During the argument, she said, "Yeah, well, you wore those pants yesterday." I said, "Yeah? What does that have to do with anything?" And she gasped and went, "You did?" They were still clean, and I had no problem wearing the same pair of pants a few times before washing. So I don't know why that was supposed to be an insult. But even more baffling was that she apparently said it without even realizing that it was true. So I guess that was just her default insult for some reason. Story 37. I used to go on cruises to the Caribbean islands. My favorite island is Dominica. We were talking to this really cool Caribbean band who were all from the islands that I loved, and had run sound for as my final project when I was being certified. We had gone to see them to talk to them about playing at our wedding. They were making fun of me, saying that it didn't exist, and I meant Dominican Republic. I tried to explain they were different islands, but quickly just stopped and changed the subject. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when they were making fun of the white girl for not knowing what she was talking about, and someone explaining that there is in fact an island called Dominica. Story 38. I used to work at a family farm and play park type place, and during the first lockdown we were of course shut to the public, but were later on allowed to do private tours in limited capacity. I'm in the UK, but I'm from Sweden and have a bit of a mixed accent, and sometimes mix up English and American words for certain things. When we came to the flock of chickens, I described the male as a rooster instead of a or cockerel, and the dad of this family proceeded to completely mock me for this. I'm already a bit self-conscious about how I pronounce certain things, and after making fun of my word choice, basically saying we're in England, not America, I had so much anxiety for the rest of that particular tour and the remainder of the week. Story 39. Being smart and articulate. A good friend of mine invited me to meet his friends. I work white collar. They are blue collar. Now, I'm not saying blue-collar people are savages. At all. Most of my family is blue-collar, and their jobs are hard and deserve respect. These men, however, were savages. Low-brow, beer-drinking dummies with opinions based on nothing but what the boys think. And I was unpacking some of their opinions and showing them how it didn't make any sense, or was hypocritical, etc., because I love a good intellectual conversation. I got called a nerd. I was 24 at the time. This wasn't high school. And they mocked me for using words like ergo, therefore, accountability, and other nerd words. I wound up spending the last 20 minutes of our visit verbally dismantling all of them, to the point a couple were threatening me. Which is funny, because I'm from a very rough place, and these boys were softies with big mouths. But, yeah, got made fun of for being smart and articulate.